During the Cooke era, there also occurred another event which we won an award for. We called it Manhunt, and that was the case of Brian William Robinson shooting several people, including a policeman, escaped into the Gnangara pine plantation, and he was there for more than 24 hours before he was hunted down. And we sent reporter Bob Cribb, who died recently, and Bob went into the Gnangara forest with a small rigged up OB unit which we had, and we found it very hard to communicate with him because of a lack of good communications, or there was a dead spot between the Gnangara forest and the studios. And Bob actually misinterpreted what Inspector Freddie Douglas had wanted to call all off-duty policemen into the area, and Bob gave the story that Inspector Douglas or the police want everyone possible to come out and help in the search. Well, everyone possible did turn up for the search. They arrived on horseback, they arrived on the back, several on the back of trucks that looked at us straight out of Hillbilly series, all had shotguns or guns of some kind, and then they all moved into the bush. Well, when the fugitive saw all this, he just ran for cover. He did get hit by one shot, but he survived it and was ultimately hanged. But it was a major event. We won the News Item of the Year award across Australia.
They come on motorcycles, in trucks and taxis, on bicycles and horseback. Armed men march into the bush in their hundreds. Tension mounts as the net tightens.
Sunday, February 10, 1963. The day Channel 7 viewers caught a killer. Literally, after the biggest manhunt in the history of WA.
The army of men proceed with daring abandon through deep undergrowth. At any time, the gunman could be forced from his hideout. The daylight is fading rapidly.
No, it's not a rerun of an old Wild West cowboy movie, but actual footage of the public hunt in Gnangara for killer Brian William Robinson, the second last man to be hanged in WA. One of the gunmen joining that hunt, a young Channel 7 reporter, Bob Cribb. Bob, now 70, recalls that it wasn't a notebook and pen he had to bring, but a gun.
Except for one thing, the police insisted we bring a weapon, otherwise we weren't allowed into the area. And I borrowed a shotgun off my local greengrocer.
Bob Masters, now 69, one of the policemen at the front line.
I was just astounded when I came out there the second time, and I was on the back of Robbie Drew's motorbike, and we went up the full length of Cambourne Road, and there was people just right alongside each other, and they're all public and they had guns, and it just really worried me. It was just terrible.
But Bob Cribb says it was the fired-up mob that flushed the gunman out.
It was like the charge of the Light Brigade. He was captured by Channel 7's viewers. The whole thing lasted about 60 hours, the manhunt. But the actual capture, once the viewers got out there, once the people of Perth got out there, was over in minutes.
All because of a misunderstanding.
Back in 1963, it was still early days of live television, and police here at Gnangara used Channel 7's communication system to put out an appeal for anyone who was armed and available to help with a manhunt. What they meant was armed and available off-duty policemen. But instead, newsreader Lloyd Lawson asked for anyone who had a gun to come out and help catch a killer. And they did, in their thousands.
Police call for help, and a TBW news flash requesting civilian volunteers has immediate results. Within half an hour, 5,000 people and police are on the scene.
All of a sudden he was confronted by a football crowd running at him with weapons, and he ran the wrong way. He ran back into the police lines.
Shots ring out. A civilian is slightly hurt by shotgun pellets. The wanted man with the shotgun falls, wounded. The drama has ended.
Bob Masters fired that final shot.
If I hadn't have done that, I believe that a lot of other people would have been badly injured, because the public were just, I couldn't believe where they were coming from. And when we called out, he wouldn't drop the gun, so I just aimed and to hit the metal part near the trigger, which I did. And unfortunately, the bullets went into his spleen.
In 1963, a sleepy and relaxed Perth became a city of fear. Just 5 weeks earlier, 5 people had been shot in Nedlands and Cottesloe by a mystery sniper. later identified as Eric Edgar Cooke. Then this extraordinary manhunt.
This is the street where it started, Epsom Avenue, Belmont. 2 people lay dead, killed by shotgun blasts. One victim is left sprawled over the back seat of this small convertible. The shocked woman driver is still in the car. The body of Police Constable Iles is on the ground nearby. The day of drama began with a domestic fracas. The police were called and Constable Iles, who went to investigate, was gunned down. The frenzied gunman raced out onto the street and tried to take over the small convertible. When one of the passengers resisted, he too was shot dead. The gunman then commandeered a taxi, using the driver as hostage.
Cabby Arthur Smith, who saw the shooting, had stopped to call police. His son Peter Smith says he'll never forget how their quiet family weekend turned into a nightmare.
That's when Robinson jumped in the back of the car. He gave him a whack behind the ear with the butt of the gun and pointed it at him and told him that he had to get out of there and as fast as he could get the old taxi to go.
Hostage to a crazed killer, pointing a shotgun at his head, Arthur Smith remained in control. His army training kicked in and he left police a trail they could follow.
He'd run cars off the road trying to attract attention to himself so that they'd report where he was, so that there would be some hope at the end of it all that they'd know where he was.
The gunman's destination, a hideout he knew well, the Gnangara pine plantation.
Vehicles proceeding through the area were stopped, and drivers warned that the desperate gunman was somewhere in the vicinity.
When they turned off a gravel track onto a bush track, Dad bogged the taxi, and Robinson wanted him to dig it out, but Dad bogged it even further, so he was going to make sure the taxi wasn't going anywhere.
A police spotter plane gave the cabbie the chance to escape.
There was a plane that was out there spotting, trying to find the taxi and the gunman, and apparently at some point Dad had either hurt his ankle or pretended to hurt his ankle, and he was going slower and Robinson was walking ahead of him at that time. And when Robinson heard the plane, he ducked off for cover, and it was at that point that Dad turned tail and ran. He was out of there.
By nightfall, there were 2 developments. The wanted taxi was found abandoned in the vast Gnangara pine plantation north of Perth. Before long, the driver, Arthur Smith, dazed and shocked but otherwise unharmed, wandered onto the main road. The police knew that they had their man cornered, but they had the darkness against them. A TVW mobile van and RAAF vehicles were pressed into service to help floodlight the long lanes running through the forest.
At daybreak, the manhunt continued.
Almost every policeman in the metropolitan area is waiting at the Gnangara plantation for the resumption of the search. They were armed with rifles, shotguns, pistols, and a variety of other firearms.
Volunteers providing food for weary hunters.
During the short respite, other officers catch up on lost sleep.
40 years on, and it still holds strong emotions for Doug Potter, who was on duty at Belmont that day. Instead, young Constable Iles, a father of 4, went to investigate the domestic complaint and was shot dead by Robinson.
He got the call just after that, and he went, and he copped it. So you... Could have been me. Noel was a great bloke.
23-year-old Brian William Robinson was hanged at Fremantle Jail on January 1964. 9 months later, serial killer Eric Edgar Cooke became the last person hanged in WA.
The drama has ended. Phase 2 of the great crime wave of '63 is over.
The first and last time television viewers came in their thousands to catch a killer like this.
All walks of life, mainly men, armed and wanting to help, because, as I say, Perth at the time, there was crime, there was a lot of shootings and murders and that were happening, and people wanted to help the police. He was captured by Channel 7's viewers.